Awakening is not the end, it's the beginning, because once you know, you cannot unknow. Now you rise. Let's be honest, most people don't change. Not because they don't want to, but because change asks for something many aren't ready to give. Action, consistency, ownership. We've been trained to chase motivation, but what we really need is movement. It's easy to dream, it's hard to build, and somewhere between the two, most give up. But not you. You're not here for another empty resolution. You're here for revolution within yourself. 2025 is loud. So many voices telling you who to be, what to want, how to get there fast. Your feed is full of people who made it. But no one shows the part where they almost gave up. You start strong. You make the list. You set the goal. And then life interrupts. You fall off track. One bad day becomes a lost week. A lost week becomes shame. And that shame whispers, "See? You're not built for this." But it lies. Because growth was never linear. It was spiral-shaped. It bends. It dips. But it climbs. Think of growth like a staircase, but not one built for you. One you're building as you climb it. Every step requires faith, not just planning. You put your foot down before you even see the stair beneath it. But each time you do, something appears. Support. A new habit. A small win. You don't become ready. You become brave. Let's shift something important. Goals are what your mind says you should do. Intentions are what your soul says you must become. A goal says, "I want to lose weight." An intention says, "I want to honor my body." A goal says, "I want more money." An intention says, "I want to live freely and create without fear." You feel the difference? When your goals are backed by soul, they don't fade. They root. So ask yourself, what do I truly want this year? Not to prove myself, but to align with myself. Dear present me, we did it. Not all at once, not perfectly, but we did it. You showed up, even when it was hard. You walked away from what dimmed your light. You built things, habits, boundaries, joy, when no one clapped. And now, I'm free, I'm proud, I'm me. Don't worry about how far you still have to go. You're further than you think. Just keep moving forward, even if it's one breath at a time. Future you, waiting to feel ready. You'll wait forever. Because clarity doesn't come before action. It comes because of action. You don't become the person you admire overnight. You become them one small promise at a time. One morning you don't snooze. One time you speak your truth. One step you take, when it would have been easier to stay still. So here's your invitation. Right now, take out your phone, open your calendar, and block 10 minutes for yourself every single morning. Not to scroll, not to check, but to listen, to move, to write, to breathe. Your life isn't changed by grand events, but by sacred, simple rituals. The small things you do consistently become who you are. Build your 2025 like a temple. Choose 3 intentions that feel like truth. Attach one habit to each. Track progress, not perfection. Let failure be data, not drama. Celebrate silently. Rise loudly, and every time you fall off, return. Not as punishment, but as proof that you're still here, still trying, still worthy. If this journey lit something in you, don't let the flame flicker out. Subscribe, not just for the videos, but for the commitment to yourself. Drop a comment. What will you rise into this year? Let's make this a space of reflection, of breakthroughs, of becoming. The hardest part of change is starting, but the most powerful part is realizing you already have. This year is not the year of hustle. It's the year of alignment, of rising into the truth of who you already are. So take the step. Say yes. Rise. Because your breakthrough, it's not waiting, it's rising with you.